this club from nothing. And I loves it.
Right, welcome to episode 12 of In the Dugout. Today we are in with Kevin Brooks. Kevin Brooks, how are we, mate?
Stu, how are you, mate? Yeah, good to see you.
Very good, mate. Nice little backdrop in the conservatory. Fair play to you, mate. Looking good.
I'm actually in Gatwick Airport off the cannon.
Oh, done.
It's in the bar of this is in the bar of the Weatherspoons pub in Gatwick. Look. So I'm just waiting for the rest. Just waiting for the rest of the boys to arrive.
You got a year's wait, pal. So awful, isn't it?
It'll be worth it, pal. It's a great place.
Yeah, you spot on, mate. You spot on. Okay, thanks for agreeing to do this. Obviously, when we started doing it, I really wanted to get you involved along with a lot of the others. But so I know got a few stories to tell us, and coached the club for many years because the youngsters coming through and produced a lot of the first team boys who are there now, pal. So massive respect at the club, and looking forward to hearing a few stories and listening to your Bonymaen 15 at the end.
Oh, it's not another Alan Wynne Jones episode.
No, we don't know about your third son, right? We could talk about Richard and Ian maybe, but your third son. Ooh. I think you like me more than them two anyway. It's not no, I don't know.
Well, yes, and
son you never had, but tonight. Right, Kev, we'll go straight in. Can you tell me what your first memory of Bonymaen was, buddy?
Yeah, sure thing, mate. Unusually, I suppose these days wouldn't be heard of, but I was born in Jersey Road in Bonymaen, number 30. Down by the chippy there, what is a Chinese takeaway now, is one of the little semi-detached houses there. So no hospitals, born in Bonymaen, and close enough to the police station and everything. You could hear the burnt out car or smell the burnt out cars, hear the police sirens, so through Bonymaen, right?
Yeah.
Let's get that out there first of all.
Right. Okay.
And so we moved up to the estate then, up by Kevin Engoud School there. I think my mother tells me it was about 1965, and it's just a stone's throw then from the rugby club, isn't it? So the other side of the school. And I remember growing up, I went to Cumglass School, and growing up, I was always every Saturday I could hear this noise in the air, like there was a crowd roar, there was a whistle blast, there was some heckling of referees and things like that. And I often wondered what it was as a nipper. I didn't have a clue, but then my man obviously told me. He said, "Oh, that's the rugby club. There's obviously a game on." And his brothers used to play up there. My two uncles, Derek and Clive, they played up there as adults. Like,
okay.
And I don't know, it was just a natural drift up there. And you'd get curious, you go up and see.
Yeah.
So I guess I was about, 8, 9, 10, I suppose, walking up there there's only one part of the school was built then, and could walk through the fields quite easily, and God alive, it was intense in there. Even in those days, there was a lot of there was language I never heard of, and there was some real dodgy haircuts out on the field as well. Like, with a full head of hair and a big beard, and it was the 70s, so I was making much money. But yeah, so that was my kind of first memory of the place itself.
Yeah,
and playing wise, I guess. In Cumglass School, I was it was only a soccer team. We didn't have a rugby team at the time. And so I used to play goalkeeper for the school.
Nice.
I always had the best hands in the family.
It goes without saying, Kev, honestly.
You saw me in the cricket. You saw me in the cricket. Best hands in the family. So, I went up to the big school then, up to Kevin Engoud, age 11. And I bumped into a few guys. They come from all over the catchment area then. It was School lads, Cumglass lads, Thomas and Dana Greig. And that was basically it. That was the east side of Swansea, and that's who you were.
Yeah.
And I met some real good lads. And Matthew Terry's father, Steve Terry.
Yeah.
He was in my class in school, and he was one hell of a player. He was in the Swansea schoolboys and everything, He used to play hooker. And Ray Punchard.
Oh, nice, nice.
He was in my year as well, and phenomenal guy.
Yeah.
And Ray would have said to you, in fairness, he was described as he's not very bright, but he can lift heavy things. He's very shrewd in money at the moment, but anyway, it's he was, honest to God, his forearms, he was like a man coming into school every day, and he had a real tough childhood. He was farming in the morning before school, and then come to school, go back, and then farm again, and so I caught this quite early. He was a good guy to know, this Ray, and because he kind of babysat all the newbies up to school, and he taught, he turned a few of the older boys upside down when he nicked out rugby ball or whatever, like. So and then Cookie, then he dragged me up. He said, "Come on, don't bother with the soccer." I started playing rugby for the school. We weren't the greatest of sides. We had only Ray and Stephen. We had really, and a lot of other kids from around the area. And so we kind of drifted up to the rugby club then. I think it was under 13s was the first year we played up there. There was no minis or nothing like that. And our coaches at the time would have been Ronnie Davis, who was the old secretary of the club.
Yeah, I remember Ronnie.
Club, honest to God, the work that man has done. Malcolm Dacey's father, Ozzy, was up there.
All right,
they were finishing their playing days, obviously, and Billy Jenkins, Bladder Jenkins, terrific people, and
amazing.
They took us all under their wings, and they used to ship us around the place to go and play.
Yeah.
And we had a few hide-ins at the start, because it was quite some very well-established teams and stuff like that. And we stuck together, and I remember our first victory. We played a South Gower team, came up the club. We hadn't won for a good couple of seasons. We'd been close, but we'd had a few hide-ins as well. And we beat South Gower at home. It was in a midweek game, it was, and in like the spring, and it turned us around. Absolutely turned us around. Yeah, so good times.
Good times. It's quite late playing, isn't it? You're starting 13 years old. I guess, these days you won't hear that as much now. Like, we kind of, if you don't really get into it quite early, you don't really get into it at all. Like.
That's right. There's something that plays on my mind, when I look at some of the boys, yourself included, you started at like 5 and 6 years of age, and it was all contact straight in. And then
I loved it, Kev. You know me. Love the contact.
Yeah. You love the contact anyway, I used to love that. But I just worry about how we're going to be in later life, we got...
long gone.
And I just wonder, do we start it too early, I don't know. I don't know.
They changed it slightly now, with tag and everything like that. Like, so it's less contact. I don't think they do contact now till under 9s. So they're chomping at the bit, when it gets to under 9s.
It's a bit frustrating. We used to go away to some sides when I was coaching the juniors, and they'd only play touch rugby and things.
Yeah.
Our boys would forget during the game, and they'd be smashing them over and things like that, because especially going tours and things in it,
Yeah.
But I remember when we went up there as under 13s, too, sometimes it wasn't enough of us, so we'd have to go up into the under 14s.
Right.
And that was always a bit of a challenge, because they had
who was in that team then? Who was in the 14s?
It'd be Clyde Morris, Steve Shadrack, Wayne Sykes.
Oh, brilliant.
Some great lads and good players, But I remember one particular training night, and Ronnie was cursing us, we had a mixed game, and Clyde Morris was as big then as he is now,
Yeah.
And he worked on the Doe and Barons for a number of years. He was built like a brick, a brick house, and he was running through us for fun, So Ronnie lost his rag a bit with us, and he said, for goodness sake, tackle him, tackle his legs.
Yeah.
He can't go anywhere without his legs and all that, see? So he called Clyde. He said, run at me, Clyde. I'll show you, lads like that. Well, Clyde run at him, still honest, handed him off. Broke glasses. He broke Ronnie's glasses in two, and bloody and that. And I thought,
oh, no way. Oh, my God.
But a great servant to the club, Ronnie. He was a bit of a Marmite character. He might have got on with him, or he absolutely had it in for you,
But he had it in for Klein then for a while, did he?
Say it again?
He had it in for Klein for a while, I bet then.
get any international tickets off him for months.
No, no chance. So you played all the way through into youth, Kev?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we had sides, and the youth is a very special time up there. I mean, all the boys have spoken about it. It is a special time, and tough when you go in. First of all, we're in the third years. You're in the first year youth, and then you've got 3 years, and you kind of grow with it. And by the time you're the under 19s, the third year, you're the bullies, like the people
right,
players,
yeah.
and it was this sort of period, the second and third year of youth, that I kind of got to know some of the big lads in the seniors, when I'm talking Alan Miller, Malcolm Griffiths, and people like that, and they'd be up there training. They'd be training Tuesday and Thursdays, and our training was Mondays and Wednesdays with the youth.
Okay.
And they'd be up there on the weights, and especially pre-season. I say weights, we had one bar, I think it was, on there was no stand for it. You had to for you. And Griff and Miller and them, they would drag us in and come on in, you're on the weights. And Jesus, the difference it made, honest to God. It was crazy. And you end up then, you get friendly with them, you start drinking with them, which is another big mistake. God, we went the first trip away with them was Twickenham in 1980.
Yeah.
I was like a kid, me and Cookie, Steve Terry, and with all these men,
Yeah.
We were like 17, and they were, well-established adults, so that was a mad time, but good men.
So, did you have a successful youth team, Kev?
We did. Yeah, I know Neil touched upon it on his interview. We were there or thereabouts, and it was always the likes of Morriston would be our nemesis. They had a few good Penland boys over there, and they were a good side, and we always kind of get them in like a semis or the final.
Okay, yeah.
And I think Neil mentioned it, and we played down in Swansea Uplands. I thought it was a final, but Neil mentioned it as a semi. I wasn't quite sure, and I remember it vividly because at the time I was changing the works. I was in Valindra Steelworks, and that was closing, and I was transferring to a new the plant down in Llanelli, down in Trostre, And it was all in this transition time, and I didn't want to go down there, and we'd lost this match, and I was on the brink of cracking, working, and just
get big down there,
or something stupid,
Yeah.
I remember it was so well. God alive.
Do you know what? I can remember the lot. We didn't lose much in my youth team, but I can remember those losses like it was yesterday. Honestly, they're the ones, and a lot of people who speak to when you always mention the losses in youth, the Welsh Cup loss or here and there, and it still sticks out, so it's still in the memory, still gutted to this day,
Yeah. Well, of course, the tradition of the club at the time, we had, we've seen the photos on the wall up there. I think we had 7 schools caps in the same team,
Wow, incredible.
And Isaac, Eric Jenkins, Mark Gibbs, and all these lads around the place, and they were a phenomenal youth side all the way through,
Yeah.
And then we sort of come along, and of course we never got up to that kind of level that they achieved. But it was good physical times and prepared you well and for the big step up, wasn't it?
Yeah, so talk about the step up then. Can you remember your first outing for the first or seniors?
Well, if you if you ever survived, if you survived training on a Thursday, you were pretty much prepared for.
Was it that bad? Because I know a lot of people say about it.
I can't explain to you, honestly, when you came out of youth, especially if you were, Neil had a good name. Myself, I'd like to think, we did all right, we were big lads as well. So, and you came into that environment where, of course, you were a threat now to their jersey, and it was cherished. One of my jerseys, the first team. Brian Jones, great mate of mine. I love Brian to bits, right? Yeah. Remember, we had this game after, and it was like my first it was a Thursday night. You train, do all your fitness, do all your moves, and he'd split you into 2 teams, and he'd kick off and have a game.
Yeah.
And I remember they kicked the ball up over my head. They looked at that, and Brian Jones just smashed me all completely fairly,
Yeah.
But it was as if I was in a game on a Saturday. There was no, only go half-hearted. It was full on,
Flat out.
And that was the making a lot of people. We used to have a few injuries, you know. I'd often taken people up to hospital on a Thursday night and they're out for weeks, you know. It was only you asked one of the questions, what's the toughest team you ever played? And I think it was around Thursday, second team in training. Like, you know. It was crazy time.
It's great to have that competition on it, you know, and I think with regards to our senior team now, we're getting there now with youngsters coming through, and you see it now in training. Like, boy, who's this lad there? Who's this? Do you know what I mean? It's kind of, I know, and I can remember feeling like that as well when I was that age. It's good to have that competition and boys that push you and want in your jerseys.
Oh God, yeah, this is nothing like competition, is it, to get you
exactly.
Get you up to the mark, like. And as you say, I know it's been mentioned before, we had 4 teams up there at one stage as well. We had the Men on the Moon 4th team, you know.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, you know, so we were talking 60 players, and I know we're getting them numbers now. So I'm speaking to the lads, and it's a great feeling, honest to God. You know, the club, it was bouncing, and you know, 90% of them were partiers, like, in it, you know, as well. We always had the social side. It was a big part of it, you know.
Yeah, of course,
It probably kept 4 players at the club who should have gone on to first class, because our first team would have been into Swansea, Leith, Aberavon, you know. There was no Ospreys, regions and all that. It was, if you're big enough and good enough, you go to Swansea or Leith, you know. And many boys did, and a lot of boys had the opportunity to, but just kind of missed the club too much.
Just love the social, I know what I mean.
Yeah.
Can you remember your first game then, Bud?
Yeah, mate, honestly, I can remember it very well, and there's always a side story onto it. I was in the seconds, and it was Straganley's home, right?
Right.
Straganley seconds, up the club on the field. First to away, so we used the top pitch, which was an honour in them days.
Yeah.
And Cookie, young Steve Terry, and myself in the seconds, and we hit it off to a tee in the line out, you know. And he took the ball in, and I'd be jumping in front of the line, see? And there was no lift in there, and it was like... you either had to go across and, you know, one arm slap it over or try your best. But me and Cookie had a bit of an understanding, and we knew, and we had this little signal, 1 and 2, is it a lob? So we'd W the front and then go back. And it was working quite well, see? And I was winning a fair bit of ball, in fairness, like, and some of theirs as well, see?
Yeah.
Well, this one line out came in. It was on the far side now, and I remember seeing Alan Miller and Ginger Miles. You know, they were watching the game. I think they were either injured or something like that. And the next thing, I'm on the floor, right? I feel this clout, and I'm on the deck, and I don't know. I can get some smelling salts for coming in, and I can get in that, and I kind of looked up, and at first, all I could see was Ginger and Alan Miller. Now they were shaking their heads, I guess, you know, as if to say, "Oh my God!" Yeah, and I was like. So I had a couple of, I took an 8 count, and I don't know where it came from or anything, see? And so the boys all got together, there was a huddle, and I don't think I'd ever heard Georgie Poole, he was playing number 8, I don't think I'd ever heard him speak before, right? He's a quiet man. And he got all the boys in together, and he said, right, they are, you know, they're having it, sort of thing. And I was like, what do you then get into the huddle? Well, the game restarted. I think we had a penalty. The game restarted. Well, the next ruck's too, my God, alive. It X-rated. It was absolutely ridiculous, you know. But the guy who hit me was a copper from Leith. He was called Phil Harvey. And years and years later, obviously, I joined the police, and we playing for divisional rugby with the police. And he's in Carmarthen Rugby Club telling this story of how he hit this young boy up in Bonymaen. And I said to him, Harvey, that was me, you hit. He said, I thought your face looked familiar. He said to me, well, we great. We have a laugh over it, honestly, but he put me right on my ass. He said, but see, if I'm honest, I shit myself. But the captain called me over. He said, Harvey, that boy in the front is doing a bit of damage in the lineup. He said, give him a bugger. See? He said, are you serious? We're up in Bonymaen, yeah? You want me to do it? Are you serious? Right. So he did it on his captain's orders, which I kind of... so, but Georgie Poole was like a banshee. The next ruck, that it was a bit of... we were playing catch-up, we were, so... Yeah. But good times too, and I wouldn't change any of them.
So that was your first senior game, Kev, is it?
Yeah, that would have been my first senior game. Going up into the firsts. Honestly, the competition was such at the time. It was very, very difficult to get a game, and played a lot of second team rugby at the start. And as you get older, then you kind of like become more established. But I remember playing with the first, and it was Llangennech home.
Okay.
And Malcolm Griffiths was in the team with us. So what a player, absolute what a player, you know. And he just felt honoured to be in this side.
Yeah.
And I'll touch upon Malcolm a bit later. But yeah, that was my first home game, was Llangennech home. And the crowds, honestly, terrific crowd.
Wow.
It was such a feeling. And the difference then, you know, no disrespect to any second team boys and things like that, but it's like you step up to that next level. It's a bit quicker. It was a bit cleaner, if I'm honest. It was a cleaner. And the skills were better. You know, the boys in the backs would like finish off a try at an opportunity. And it was...
I got you, yeah.
And as I like got a bit older then into my late sort of 20s and became more established with the first, in and out of the first, never secured a full-time spot there because the competition was immense, absolutely immense. You know, we got Neil and Mark, Sturge, Tony hadn't really come along by then, but Neil and Mark, and it was Kenny, Peter James, Andrew Myers. It was all these plethora of fantastic players. Like, you know, it was a real tough. It was a real tough side to get into.
So looking back, Kev, obviously you're saying the Bonymaen training and teams were quite brutal, pal. Any individual you come across, or any teams that you thought, oh, you know, this week is going to be a tough one, I'm going to have a blast, like toughest opponent?
Yeah. There was, and I know without repeating what Neil has said, you know, it was a difficult time in West Wales. We always, you have your challenges all the time in it, you know, and they were more local, you know. We had like Labont, Endy, we had Kidwelly, fantastic side in Kidwelly. Prop down there called Charlie Thomas. He was in and out of Fleshley all the time, but ridiculously strong man, honest to God, you know. And we played the Velin Voles with Dennis Davey and people like that, you know. And but for me, it'd be a little more local to that. My sister, God bless her, she married a boy from Manalo, Brian Robert, and I had to go to the wedding down there and everything, and it was a bit of a Bonymaen boy, and you know. And but it was
behind enemy lines,
it was always a game in Manalo, mate, and fair play to a man down there. They were always a good side, you know, some real sharp backs and some real tough cookies. And I know Neil mentioned Norman Slattery, and I'd have to confirm his findings on that. What a hard guy, absolutely terrific guy. And then have a pint to do after, like, you know.
Great, like, what's all about.
Yeah, he spoke at my sister's wedding, and I remember that we'd only just played Winala. I think my sister got married like Valentine's Day, so it was in the middle of the rugby season. And Norman got up and spoke in the wedding after, and called me a bit of a mammy's boy, because my mother used to come and watch the, you know.
Great, man.
I think he'd given me a bit of a clout when I was caught on the bottom of a ruck or something, and he said, "Oh, can I have my studs back from your head?" And all things. A great guy. I can't speak highly enough at Norman. And he's not in the best of health, I don't think, at the minute. But I wish him my wishes if he sees this. Anyway, he's a good lad.
Brilliant. So few battles against Wine back in the day, then.
Yeah, and like I say, they used to come up to us, and Neil is quite right when he mentioned they had this big new second row come up from Cardiff. My brother-in-law was ringing me from an ally to say this guy's coming up. He's enormous and he's a great player. And I know Neil accused me of that little bit.
Yeah, I was going to ask now. Do you want to clear it up?
Oh, it was Monsi. It was. And no, Pat and I've spoken about it, and in fairness, we said any beer and had a good laugh about it. The ultimate insult was then he came up the following season and took my position. What a last laugh, you know. So a great guy and a great mate, and top man, absolute top man.
Are there any games, Kev, that stick out in your mind, like most memorable match?
I got a couple, Stu. One, and for for reasons different ends of the scale, if you know what I
Okay.
mean. We were in the national leagues in it, and Mountain Ash came down to us. Now, Mountain Ash at the time were a great side. They had a big pack of forwards who would like bully most sides that he play against. And they were sitting either first in the table or second. They were always at the top of the table, and they were coming down to us in the league. And a couple of our stars had decided, it wasn't for them this particular game. It was
Okay.
so they were rested, they had a bit of a breather and stuff like that. It was meant to be a bit of a one-sided hammering.
Yeah.
And I played number 8 that day, and Malcolm Jones played blindside flanker, and Peter James played open side.
Okay.
And still, I can't explain it. We had a great side out there, all the boys were up for it, and we were trying stuff, that we'd like tried last Thursday in training and things like that. We'll try this on Saturday, and try this on. Everything came off, mate.
Oh, amazing.
Everything came off, right? Before we knew it, we were like 40 points ahead. It was that ridiculous. Honestly, I can't explain it. We won in the end. It was like 44-3 or something like that. It was. In the game. The scrum half went off early, and he was a bit of a key talisman for him. He'd gone off early in the game with a dodgy calf. I can't remember what happened to that. But anyway, that was another story. But their frustrations, were building, with everything they tried. They were dropping the ball. As bad as they were, we were that good, And I remember poor Mal, they'd won the ball from a line out. Mal was drifting across into midfield, and the centre went to step him, and Mal, and it was, you see it all, he stuck a flailing arm out, and he caught this guy right on the cheekbone, I guess. And the clothesline thing, he spun it. It was a complete accident. And the next thing then, it was World War III. It was 30 players. I made a bit of a note of it. It was 30 players, of absolute mayhem, right? Everyone was scrapping. And then we realised then, after about 15 seconds, Christ, the referee is flat on the floor.
What?
The referee had caught one.
No.
Honestly, and the referee, a guy called Will Evans from Cardiff, and I've met him many times after, because he was a rugby assessor, and he used to come along and assess me when I went refereeing, And I remember him coming over to Neath Athletic, and he came over to assess me at a local game, and I was walking toward him after, all dressed in my refereeing kit, and I looked at him and I thought, God, you're very familiar, mate. Where are you from, Kevin? I said, Bonymaen. And he told me the story of getting knocked out.
It was him, like, my God.
I don't think anybody hit him. It was like, but he was quite new as a ref, and he dived in to try and stop people from fighting.
And someone's gone.
Kind of picked up an elbow in the belly, but he was on the deck. He was out cold. He looked at it as a big learning curve for himself. He said, if the players fight, I let them. I'll blow the whistle from 10 metres back.
Yes, they well away.
Anyway, Will had to go off. The ref had to go off this particular day. And Peter Blake, we had touch judges in Andes. Peter Blake came on, Blakey, and finished refereeing the game. And it turned into a game of touch rugby after. Afraid to tackle each other in case something else. Because we both panicked that the WRU were going to ban both sides, Just to Will, give him credit. He put a report in to say, it was my fault. Yes, it was a melee. No one responsible. I shouldn't have piped as they did, So it's a game that sticks out in my mind, only for the unusual getting knocked out. And you were, and the next one I got in, you were actually at the games too. I don't know if you played because you picked up an injury just before it in the warm-up.
Oh, is it?
We were on tour down in Torquay with a youth.
I remember that. Wait, my finger's still gone, and we can see it.
Never played the piano after, have you?
Oh my God.
So,
I did play.
I got invited down with the youth, with the boys, and I tell you what, it was a terrific weekend. I love that part of the world, the Riviera down there.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Jimmy came with us, but it was Garbo and Shadi, wasn't it?
Yeah, Jimmy was there as well, yeah.
Obviously, I didn't know Jimmy was there. He didn't buy a round down there, I don't suppose.
Standard, isn't it? Standard.
But I took some kit down with me now, and I thought the referee could have some of my WRU refereeing kits. He had a lot of jerseys. So I gave him this kick before the game now, and he was, thank you very much for that. Because he started reffing the game, and it was a bit one-sided, wasn't it, if I remember.
We battled him, yeah.
And next thing, the ref pulled up with a hamstring, and I went on to referee. I don't know if you remember it.
I can remember it, honestly.
Refereed a bit of it. And then I realised this is a route now, isn't it? So I said to the coach, would you mind if I played the last sort of 10 minutes? Because both my sons are out there playing. I think
that's it, yeah.
And Ian was out there.
Yeah.
And the three of us finished in the back row on this game, and
oh, great.
I put one of these, I'd never worn one before, one of these scrum caps on to make me look a bit younger. I didn't know if I felt like Justin Tipperick or Justin Bieber out there. I wasn't sure. It was memorable to say I could play with my both sons in the proper game sort of thing.
I remember that game, and we were winning, like you say, we were winning quite well. And we changed a few boys back in the forwards in the back. So I went, I'll go second row. It's all right, I'll put my head in, but then no problem. Scrum went down like that. I think I was up like this. I broke my bind. I crawled out to the scrum, out to the side, walked off and pitched his hand on. Not for me anymore. That was a great trip, that was. Brilliant.
Yeah, good times. So good times are memorable in it for the right reason that time.
Yeah. Play with your three sons, me, Richard, and Ian. Brilliant.
I think Dwayne was there because he's like my fourth son as well. And
I know where Dwayne was. Yeah, no, he was too young.
Yeah, good time. And then we go back to the hotel, and there was a big smoke bomb going off down the street. I don't know anything about that. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah. Oh God.
Yeah. So I was probably one of the only times I was being a touch judge, referee, and a player in the game, So
yeah.
I think it was a good reason to get drunk in Torquay that night.
Yeah, amazing.
I remember going into the clubhouse after down there, those two, oh my God. And Gabo, God bless him, and he'd had a lot of cans on the bus, and he was giving all the boys a can of like Carlin or something. And it was warm because it was a warm weekend. The boys were walking in the clubhouse in Torquay with a warm can of Carlin like this. The landlady or the stewardess behind
she kicked off, yeah.
Mental, didn't she?
Yeah.
And I was trying to reason with her then, because I'm pretty diplomatic, and I had all my best lines and saying, listen, we're going to spend a couple of £100 here. It's only one tin it is, and it's warm. They're not going to be drinking that here. And I think, I don't know, one of the boys then lobbed.
Kyle Passmore, I'll name him. I say it was Kyle Passmore.
Chips over, and he was on her shoulder and all that. And it was like, she's not well and all that. So we had to go early, didn't we? We didn't really have an after match.
No, we didn't. We weren't well. No, we weren't very welcome. No.
Oh dear.
I can remember that. Like it was yesterday, mate. Brilliant.
Good times, mate. Good times. And nothing like a trip, is it? You've got to have a trip away.
Yeah.
And it's got more so now that you go away for a weekend, and it's just a weekend on the bevy, and it's a shame that you don't get a game in, I think it's vital to have a game away on tour, even if
it's just good crack, isn't it?
20 players who would be involved off the beer for a couple of hours.
Yeah. Like the Birmingham trips, isn't it? Two trips to Birmingham, we had a game and Woodrush, and that was good. Good crack.
Perfect. We spoke about that Sunday after the cricket, and we were on that pony and trap.
It's on the pony, of course.
How do I make it stop? Remember it? I can't explain.
Yeah, amazing.
That's those are my memorable games.
Those are memorable games. Brilliant. Outstanding, mate. Looking back at your career, Kev, is there anything you would change, pal? Anything you would do a bit differently?
Well, looking back at my my days up there, the players were up there because they wanted to be up there still.
Yeah.
It's very similar to now, and the boys turn up 3 times a week now when the season kicks off.
Yeah.
Because they want to be there.
Yeah.
If there's one thing I could change, I remember the money came into the game, mate.
Mm-hmm.
It was heartbreaking, honest to God. Not so much for the mercenaries. We had a couple of mercenaries in the team, but for all the boys who've been up there since kids. And I never forget, we played Aberafon Quins out on the pitch on the top field. And we were told if we win this game, we'll have a £10 match bonus. See, a fee. And I said, oh, well, I don't need that. I don't. And bear in mind, it's like 5 pints up the club then. That's what it would have been. And I'd rather have had that, if you want to give us something. But and we won the game. And Tony Clement, bless him, fair play, he came on to everybody, little brown envelope, and it was a £10 note in all of them. See? Bear in mind, they probably covered it on the takings on the gate. I'm not saying, but still it was. And I thought, this is not a good thing. This is not a good thing. I didn't need it. This is not. And of course, it progressed then, didn't it? And it was only like win bonus, it was called. So if you won, you get a win bonus. If you won again the following week, you get a win. It is. A thing, and that's how win bonuses work, obviously. But I remember then when it went ridiculous, then, did it? Because it was players up there who were kind of finishing their careers with Neath and people like that, and coming up the club, and they were given a car to go back and forth to these places. It was money that the wage bill was like 80 grand a year and things like that, and it was ridiculous, Ned. Of course, I went refereeing then after my days, and I would come back to the club. I'd always make the effort, would travel to a game and go back up a club for a couple of pints at the end. I remember walking into the bar on a Saturday, and I think it was Darren Poland was there on his own. It was no other players there. Like.
They'd gone back to their clubs, like,
They've all gone back to come go, so over to Neath Athletic, they've gone everywhere. And it was, I thought the club isn't going to survive with this. And then, of course, then the legacy of that is that all the boys who should have been in the first team, the Bonymaen boys who come through the youth and the juniors, they would then stay in the club, and then their kids come through, and then they start coaching the juniors. That was
exactly.
We had that void, didn't we?
Massively,
And that they got a bit of it back, but we lost a lot of boys who should have. The boys, Birch Grove, didn't they? And and it was just because I thought the money came in, and the opportunity to get in the first team was harder then than it was in my day, like.
I can remember, Kev, right? I remember my first game, right? I was Bryn Mawr away, right? So me and Rob Richards out at half, a boy played from Pencloud, brought him in. And I was still in youth, wasn't I? Do you know what I mean? So I was totally oblivious to all this money in rugby and everything. Genuinely didn't have a clue. But we won up there, and it was like a couple of boys were going out and then coming back with like envelopes and stuff. Like, this is a bit strange. Then I was called in, so I was just saying, this is a bit. Went in there, had a little same as you said, a little brown envelope with £20 in it. And I was 18 years old youth boy, I like you said, I played for nothing. Like, it was nothing, no money, and I was like so oblivious, thinking, well, everyone's getting money. Like, I genuinely didn't think it was happening. Like,
And it was a dark period for the club, wasn't it? Because we ended up in a massive debt, and there was a lot of people fell out up there then who should never have fallen out. And
definitely.
And real respected people who had done so much work for the club in their lifetimes, and it was all dismissed, and it was a bit sour, a couple of years of a bit of sour.
It was, but you're right.
Thankfully, where that's gone, and the likes of yourself and all the players around you are bringing it back, and the club is a community club again, and it's a great place to be,
Of course it is. And like, so when you finished your playing time then, Kev, you went into coach then. I know Ian's age, and coached this side all the way through then, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I did that. Ian had a nasty injury, didn't he, back in his schoolboy days, where he hurt his neck and he had to take like half a season out.
Yeah.
And I was out in Paris when I had the news of that, and I had to fly home because he was laid up after a dodgy tackle, I think it was, and
standard. I wasn't there to
But
cover for him, probably.
then I went refereeing, and when I finished, of course, a big crowd of us left the club, and we all went over to the BP Clondassie for a season, and that was through like Derek Ace had gone over there, and he became like chairman of the club over there. It was a work side,
Yeah.
And the facilities over there were magnificent. I think the Ospreys or something trained there now, don't they?
Incredible. Yeah.
Which was wonderful. And so I was in and ahhing because I'd only ever played for Bonymaen and like my police divisional team. Those are the only sides I'd ever put a jersey on, and they were the same colour kit and everything. I was like, that. But yeah, a few boys got on to me then. Klein Morris was over there. Clive East went over. No, we were coming to the end of our days. I think it was like 97, something like that, 96, 97. And well, it was pretty much a Bonymaen second team and ended up over there. And we were playing in Division 5, or I think it was, no, Division 7 it was, and West.
Yeah.
And we had some great trips. Yeah, great trips.
Well, didn't he? Done really well.
Stuff to St. David's and that, yeah. And yeah, good times. Good times. And lovely people. And like I say, you think it's unique to Bonymaen.
Yeah.
But there are rugby clubs all over the country, and it's a good crack in all of them, isn't it? You know.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Done it right with coaching as well, Kev. Your team undefeated for many years, wasn't they?
They were
great sides.
Good sides, yeah, good sides, and
some characters.
I think we benefiting from that now with the first team, Stu. And for the last few seasons, it's that junior section who've come through one block. I know we lost a few good lads to the championship teams, and that's what it was all about, isn't it? You know, we were like a feeder through like the Turks and Llandudno and Swansea and that. And And you know, I know they've come back, and on paper we've got a phenomenal squad, haven't we, at the minute? It's just some rugby we need, isn't it? Yeah, good times. Good times with both Ian and Richard's sides. You know, Andy Gorman was with Richard's side, and Keith Howells was with Ian's side, and all the work that people did, you know, it didn't go unnoticed, does it? You know.
No, that's right.
And some good players, Ashley Hassan, you know, but it's incredible the wastage, you know, the players that don't progress.
They come through, yeah.
It's like, if he got held onto half of the side, it would have been, you know what I mean? Tom Kelly, I know they went on the Mumbles, I think Tom Denny and Carl Ackland.
That's right.
But good lads, you know, good boys, Greg Rowlands and people like that, you know.
Yeah, top man, what a lovely guy. Lovely guy.
Yeah.
So, Kev, we're going to move on now to your Bonymaen 15. Have you found this as difficult as every single person who I've interviewed to do?
Well, if I could show you how many papers I got by us, Stu, there's a team on each of them, right? And I promise not to keep it too long.
Oh, you crack on, mate.
Ridiculously hard.
Yeah.
And I will say at the outset, it was ridiculously hard. And fair play to Neil last week. His recall of names,
incredible, wasn't it? Yeah.
Names that I'd forgotten, and I apologise for that from the start. So what I plan to do, Stu, because some of the positions I'm still undecided.
Oh wow!
I got a coin on the table, and when I get to this particular, because I can't pick apart, you know, I can't.
Okay.
So what I'll do, if it's all right with you, I'm going to apologise firstly to all the players that I won't mention. All right, and you know who you are. We all played together. We had great times, and the fact that I'm not going to mention your name doesn't mean I don't like you. I love you all dearly. For many years. So I'm not going to go through listing names of players.
Yeah.
And if I can, to be different, I want to start at fullback, Stu, because the pack is still fluid, you know.
Still undecided, no problem, mate. We can go with 15.
I'm going to be like a proper program now, in a match program. It starts at 15.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, go on.
And a lot of these names have recurred over and over again, and it won't be no surprise that I picked Simon Morris as the fullback.
Okay.
And I'll tell you a little bit about him, as much as I know about these players, because other than naming people who are as good as him or should have been or could have been, Simon from Portennant, St Thomas Portennant, lived on the cusp on the road there. Very talented family in it. His brother Dean is he plays phenomenal golf over at Swansea Bay at the moment.
Okay.
And his sister Bev represented Wales, I think, in the netball hockey. She was head of year of Alpha, head of PE, and fantastic sporting family, and a lot of time for him. And their parents at the time, you know. I know Sandra's not with us anymore, but fabulous people, really, really nice people. And
what a player he was. He's in, like you said, he's been in many teams.
Oh God! And one particular moment with us, we always used to get through to the Swansea District Cup final in the second team, and it was always against Birch Grove, and they were always laced with a great side, Birch Grove. I think they hadn't long won the Brewers Cup, and they were a very good team, you know.
Yeah.
And it was always a close battle with them. And we were down in St Helens, and it was 6-6, and Sammy had a penalty now to win the game for us. And it was from about, I would say, the 10-metre line. He's going to say more like the halfway line.
Yeah, of course it is, yeah.
Wide pitch in it, And it was a hell of a kick. And as he went to kick the ball, he approached it. The thing fell off. There wasn't no tee in them days. It just fell out of the divot that he'd made,
Yeah.
And so the ball was live. He'd made an advance on the ball, and next thing, Birchgrove come charging up. So Sammy picked the ball up and nonchalantly drop kicked it 40 metres over the stick.
It's in Ellen's like, oh my goodness.
That's his ability, mate, and his quick, his speed of thought.
Flipping heck.
Yeah, great times.
He'd be in my team just for that, mate. 100%.
Yeah, honestly,
just for that moment. That's incredible.
And a good sportsman. Played cricket with him on the weekend, when Bonymaen used to have the cricket sides, and I loved it.
Great stuff, mate. So he's in at 15. So we go on to 14. 14
now, and I know he's been mentioned previously, but I'm going to pick Paul the Wizard Miles.
Yeah.
And the boy from Port Tennant. I think he went to. He might have gone to Bishop Vaughan School. I'm not quite sure about Ginger's upbringing. I don't know if he was educated, if I'm honest. But, he's hard as a box. Anyway, he scored for me one of the greatest individual tries that any player for Bonymaen has scored. Now, back in the late 80s, I think it was around about 87, 88, we were playing Carmarthen Athletic in the semi-final of the Tavali Cup. This game had been postponed a couple of times because of the weather was atrocious, and we played down in Hendy Park, a neutral venue, and that's on the side of a river, and it's always a boggy patch down there,
Yeah.
And much to the forwards' delight, Hendy had dumped about 100 tons of builder's sand on this pitch now to make it playable for the replay. It had to be played.
Yeah.
And great for the forwards, especially for me in the second row.
Yeah.
After the game, you'd think I'd answered the phone while I was doing the ironing. It was a big burn. It was horrendous. But I remember there was a big kick ahead. Carmarthen had kicked, and it was a close old game, and I think they were winning in the last couple of minutes of the game. And Ginger picked the ball up in his own 22, and he went on one of these arcing, dodging, weaving runs and scored an 80-metre try in those conditions. And great for him as well that their crowd was behind the posts and he was running for it. They were all up the bank.
Yeah.
And he would just score the try and then just give the finger around the players.
Yeah, that about him.
What a great, absolutely great player. And a great.
I hope he gets to watch some of these videos. I hope he's seen him, because he's a lot of people have spoke very highly of him. Yeah. So I hope it's getting to him, and hope he can see it, and it'd be great.
Somebody, I think Miller will probably have a contact number for him. I bumped into him in Gunlights back on the stag weekend, stag night a couple of months back.
Okay.
We had a few beers and caught up, but great player. And again, another good sportsman too, good cricketer.
Yeah, natural.
Played for Bonymaen. He played when he moved up to Colburn, and he played for Gunlights in the Welsh League. And so good sportsman,
Great stuff. 13?
Yeah, 13. Gone for controversial Clive East.
Clive East.
Yeah, no, Clive Stu.
Yeah, Clive East.
Clive East. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was my vice captain in 1990 when I was the club captain up there, and this guy should have gone on to much bigger things in rugby.
Yeah.
He played a few games for Bridgend, and you're a bit young to remember these names, but it was a guy called Steve Fenwick, the blonde-headed centre for Wales.
I know his name. Yeah.
It's a kick and everything. So Fenwick was retiring, and Clive East was coming through. The Welsh youth cap. And Western Mail reported on Clive to say that Bridgend need not fear Steve Fenwick's retirement. They've got a more than adequate substitute.
Wow.
This guy,
God.
And, he was a big, strong, fit guy. He was a terrific sportsman. Everything he did, and he whacked a golf ball like 500 yards, is no trouble at all. He's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And so I picked Clive at 13.
Great
and
stuff.
I remember I think we'd either just come back from Canada, and we had a Romanian touring team came up to us, and it was a midweek game, and they'd had a bit of a soft start. I think they'd played Mumbles on the Saturday before. They were playing us, and then they were going to play Swansea Uplands and the Uplands, but they were down in like Division 7 or something. And they came up to us, and we just come back from Canada. We were all bouncing, and it was a crazy time to play us. And I think the centres, they were like these pretty boys in the centres, and they were chucking all about. Well, Clive cut one in half, mate. Minutes, He cut one in half, and Ginger Miles run over to the centre, and in Romanian, this guy wasn't it? And he went, "Welcome to Bonymaen." But a phenomenal player. Absolutely phenomenal player.
Who's his partner, mate? Who's his 12?
Pick. I know this was one of my tough ones. I know Mark John he is a class act. Mark is, and he's been in so many teams. But I'm gonna chuck a curveball in and give my old mate, nervous Nigel Bevan.
Okay.
Treg picked him because Nigel was a big part of the third team Invincibles when they all got together.
Yeah.
But I came through youth with Nigel. He's a year younger than me, and but what a tackler, mate! He was one of these guys. He had natural pace and he could time a tackle,
Right.
And it made it look effortless, He'd scythe people down for fun, and it was And he'd tell you in his own admission he didn't have the best pair of hands, and if he kicked the ball up in the air to him, it was always difficult to see whether it was going to stick or not. But for his defensive qualities, my God alive, he was a tremendous player. Fair play to him. And it's quite funny now. Last time I saw the two of them together, Clive and Nigel, I think it was poor Garbo's funeral and the wake up the rugby club.
Okay.
And I think the beer and the food has taken a toll on the pair of them because they'd be in the front row, that's for sure. Yeah, he played alongside Clive. Nigel did in the championship final down in Stradey Park when he beat Tumble,
Yeah.
And he was relatively young in that side as well.
So he done well to get in that team as well then.
Yeah, he did. There was some great players about, Yeah, we had some great players. But he's honest to God, he's phenomenal defensive centre.
Great stuff. Left wing.
Left wing, I'd gone from another mate of mine. I've got two coppers on the wings. I hope you don't mind, Stu. But
go
on. I've gone for Simon Davis.
Yeah.
All right, Sutty. Sutty joined us for the one of mine from Manisbach. And he played after a big group of the under-15 Swansea schoolboys. There wasn't that sort of age group up the rugby club with us at the time. So I think Tony Sturge went up with the boy Richard, is it Hedges or Ledger or something like that. There were some real good players, They all went up there. But good for us. They all came to us and set up the youth team then with Tony Sturge, and Richard Webster was playing up there with us.
Okay.
I can't believe no one's mentioned Richard Webster in this series because, oh my God, he's probably the bravest rugby player I've ever seen in my life.
Really?
To play, played against him for Kevin Engold's school. We used to have old boys and past players and present players. He's a phenomenal player.
Beast.
Oh my God, honest to God, he'd be in places where he was not supposed to be. Not like you in the second row, Stu.
I know it's like, man.
You can't trap it down, But
on my head, where people don't put their feet, Kev. You know that.
Well, I gotta say, Simon, he had this pace about him. Honest to God, he was I think he was like 11 stone in his best at his peak,
Yeah.
But Gas, mate, I can't explain him. Read the game. We took a side up to Cwmtawe Sevens in 1990, and Cwmtawe Sevens was quite respected then. We had teams, all the first class sides. Llanelli would been at Swansea, they would have some tremendous sides, and all fully loaded, these teams. Well, we took a side up there, and if you got knocked out in early on, you go into a plate competition. The big clubs would end up going in the cup, the final. Well, we got to the final against Swansea in 1990, playing the Cwmtawe Sevens Cup. We knocked the sides out, beat the Turks. Di Fox was playing for Llanelli at the time, but we beat the Turks. It was ridiculously phenomenal. Jakey Powell, what a side he had. Honestly, Mark John dropped the goal in the Sevens tournament, I think it was, to beat Llanelli, actually.
Oh my God, class.
But it was crazy. The only drawback of it then was I was a skipper then in 1990, and then Swansea came in for Simon Davis.
On the back of that, was it, Kev? On the back of the tournament.
He had played at the tournament, mate. He was yards quicker than anybody on the field, and it was some internationals out there. So we lost him to Swansea. They took him on an African tour, and he had quite a distinguished career down with Swansea then. He had a Wales B cap. Should should have been capped at full level, like, Simon, but such as it was at the time, he didn't. I played against him for the sevens. We had divisional police sevens at the time in it, and he was playing for Swansea Police. I was playing for Neath Patalbot, and I thought, he's got the ball now, he's running across the field, and I thought, I got him there. I've got him. But there's no way he's mate. He was toying with me, and he just passed me in a flash, He's like, oh, ridiculous cats. He scored a great try for Bonymaen first down in Wellingborough. He was arcing his way back, picked the ball up one-handed off the floor, and then up the touchline like a sprinter. It was great to watch.
He's doing a lot for Gowerton, isn't he, Tim?
Pardon?
He's doing a lot for Gowerton and the junior section, isn't he?
He's got two lads playing down there. Louis is the oldest boy, and I think he's in youth. And his younger brother, then Kai Davis, I think he's under 12s, I think it's something like that now. And they're very talented kids, fair play.
Yeah.
Very talented. And I might even stick a couple of quid on the little one getting a cap.
Is it, yeah?
Yeah, I'm going to stick there, honestly. Yeah, tremendous talent. He follows his mother.
Yeah. Go for out and half now, Kev.
Sorry, mate. Yeah. I've gone straight in for Malcolm Dacey, Stu. I think Neil mentioned him as well. This was another tough call for me. Some great players up there, but I watched Malcolm because he was a couple of years older than me. He was in the youth, schools cap.
Yeah.
Schools or youth cap. Yeah, the caps up there anyway. And he developed then. And of course, Swansea came and took him from us as well. But, like watching Matthew Morgan in the junior rugby, this guy got so much time when he gets the ball in his hands. It was crazy, honest to God. He was always destined for some great things. And so he went on to play for Swansea, Wales. He had a British Lions cap, which was frowned upon because it was a kind of barbarians game at the time, but it was a capped game. Then he went to Cardiff after that, played a few seasons up there, and then came back to Bonymaen. Now, he didn't need to come back to play. He came back to have a player coaching type of thing. But he insisted on a couple of seasons with us, and even then he oozed class, absolutely oozed class. But the only trouble was when you get somebody like that back in your team is that that every other back row forward wants a piece of him.
Yeah, of course.
And it was our job then to babysit him as well as try and play as well, So we used to try off like the Dennis Davies of the world from Wellingborough, who would chase him even in the showers trying to get a punch on him. But but it certainly sharpened him up anyway. But he came back to his roots and fair play. He finished his career up with us.
Can't fault that, man. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
The career which he had and come back and finish off at Bonymaen. Massive. That's massive.
Special, isn't it? It is special.
Who's scrum half, Kev?
Well, you obviously came into the rankings here.
Cheers. Yeah.
Just in case you pick a side for my son this year. It was hard, but this was one of the hardest ones because when you play number 8 as well with these scrum halves, you develop like you kind of get like feel for them as well, like in it. They tap you on the arm and you know which way you're going. And Chris Davis was fantastic at it, and Alan Powell in my earlier days, great scrum half, real nasty bloke as well. But I've gone for Mikey Clement anyway because know his parents from down Lon last way, but he came to us from Morriston, Mike. And I remember him, I don't know if it was a Morrison youth game or something, and he was making a break up a touchline, done a bit of a chip on the head, and somebody hit him with an umbrella from the touchline, trying to trip him up. And I can't think who that was, I have no idea. But he came to play for us then, and I can't describe it. He was probably the fittest guy in the squad, the hardest trainer. He had a physical job as well with the electricity board on the pylons and on the climbing telegraph poles. And honest to God, he is immensely strong. And coincidentally, I see Mark Jonas put something on Twitter. I don't know if you can get hold of it, Stu, if you need proof of this guy's power. This photo that's on Twitter, it just sort of encapsulates the whole ethos of Mike Clement. He is angry. He's got the ball. He's got muscles bursting out of his shirt and everything like that. And he's always looking for contact,
Yeah.
Of a player, of a pass, and a creator. And Mike was like a fourth background forward. He was
like a Mike Phillips kind of player. Okay.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. absolutely. But a pocket rocket, honestly, God, his strength on the man is phenomenal. So
That's your backs, mate.
yeah, that's my backs. Mike,
Lovely.
unfortunately, didn't stay long with us. He stayed a few seasons, quite a few seasons in fairness. Then went on down to play for Llanelli, and he had a Welsh Cup winners medal with them and everything. And
Well,
yeah, and all that. Great player. Sorry, mate. I'm going to go from number 8 down now, Stu, if that's all
number
right.
8 down, yeah. You crack on,
Yeah.
mate.
This is not the first time he's been mentioned, and it is. I do choke when I see the man's name on my sheet of paper. Yeah, but it's Malcolm Griffiths,
Yeah.
and there's no one at the club can argue about this choice. Mal from the Bonymaen Road or Pentacreath Road, down opposite. God, I don't know what's down there now. It used to be Stevens's tip. He's from that part of Bonymaen down there. He'd walk up the club, pick Alan Miller up on the way, and they both walk up then to train, you know. And
Yeah.
but what he just epitomised everything Bonymaen is about. Bit of an Anthony Clement type of thing, you know. Clem thing. He's he was a leader. He was strong. He was fit. He could read a game. It's difficult to check as many like you're going to run out of bloody, you know, of sayings how good the man was, like, you know. And I mentioned the game earlier with Llangenach, you know, if you did something well in the game, either intercepted the ball or made a tackle or pinched a line out, he wouldn't have much to say, but he'd run past you, tap you on the ass and say, well done. Jesus, you felt 10 foot tall. Yeah. You felt 10 foot tall, I kid you not. He was terrific. And likewise, then, if you drop the bollock or something like that, you know, the first thing he'd do, he would rectify the bollock that you've dropped. Yeah. And then come up to you, tap you on the ass and say, right, do it better next time. Or that's all you'd have to say in it, you know. And there was a sad day when we lost old Griff. And it was one of those things that, you know, like, I suppose you knew where you were when somebody dies, like, in it. It's a strange thing. You know where you were when Elvis died. You knew where you were when Diana Spencer died or whatever. And I knew exactly where, you know, I can still remember I was working a night shift in the police, and it was a terrible, terrible day. Yeah. But a great player. And a big mate of Alan Miller, and you know how friendly Alan and myself are. And they had this little bet when they were in youth, and you know, when they were together, they were always together. And if you want to know about this little bet, it will cost you a pint every time you see Miller. Ask Alan Miller what was the bet that him and Griff had.
I'm going to write that down, mate, because I will do that.
It'll cost you a pint, right? So Alan Miller, there's all your beer sorted for the next couple of months.
No problem. I want to find out. I want to know.
It's a special thing between them two, I guess, but I'm privy to it, and I thought I'd share it.
Like. Classmate.
Yeah.
Loads of people have spoken so highly of him, and you know, obviously the thought of him at the club, mate, and everything, and everyone, you know, he epitomises Bonymaen, didn't he? So
spot on. Yeah, spot on. Great guy.
Who's the 7, mate? I've
gone for the 7 again now. And when you think of this is a huge part of the trouble I had picking his side. And for all the people who I haven't mentioned, they know who they are, and they know how close they were to getting in this side. Honestly, you know, it's but I've gone for Andrew Myers again. The late Andrew Myers.
Yeah.
I mean, he's one of the great number 7s Bonymaen has produced. Nicknamed the Poacher, a man of very few words, 6'2", but very unassuming. And we used to have a standing joke, myself and Andrew, and we'd go away. We'd been to Paris for a weekend with a bunch of boys, and I used to say to him, Andrew, say something, just to tell me to F off, like, you know, say something, so I know you can talk. Great guy. What a player.
He's made a few teams as well, hasn't he? A couple of teams.
Player. I'm lucky enough, Stu, this is a bit of history for you, know. I scored the last 4-point try for Bonymaen.
God.
It was through Andrew Myers I'd scored it, and it was in the cup final again, the Swansea District Cup final against Birch Grove again, down in Alloy. And I think Andrew had made a bit of a break up the blind side of a scrum. And or a ruck, and the ball come out. Anyway, he'd done all the work basically. He popped it to me, and I think it was about 60 or 70 meters. I had to.
Of course it was. Yeah, round the full back.
Honestly, I fell over the line. He popped the ball out and he scored.
Oh.
And that was the last. They changed the score then to 5
That's-
points after that. So I'm claiming fame to that.
Of course you are, mate. No one can take that away from you.
Yeah.
A blindside, but
Yeah, I've gone for Ken Isaac, mate.
oh,
I
well.
know he's been mentioned a few times, but I can say these guys and the other the blind sides again, like the Sturgey boys and Peter James and all these boys and Malcolm Jones. Ken was constantly one of the first names on the team sheet, you know, even before he was captain up there, and he had a Welsh Schools cap. St Thomas boy, a policeman as well. Very quiet off the field, in fairness to him. Say a lot. Did a lot of his talking on the pitch. You know, he had legs like tree trunks and an arse the size of an hip ball, like, you know. And he'd make one of these breaks, and it was a hell of a job to drag him down. He'd take like 3 or 4 players to drag him down and a little offload, and then we'd have the overlaps. But yeah, quiet guy off the field until he was with his mate Di Fox and a couple of pints of beer, and then look out, they were the pests. Oh my God, they were a pair of pests. But,
it'll be great to see him again at the club, mate, because, you know,
I spoke to Elmo yesterday, Elmo Dulio, and he said he'd spoken to Ken Isaac. He's back, he's living in a valley somewhere up in Cumbracho. So hopefully, hopefully we'll get him up the club, even if it's just for a couple of beers.
Yeah, definitely.
He gets a nod for my number 6, and that's despite some fantastic competition from the other guys.
Hey, well deserved.
Yeah.
Go on, Kit. 5.
Right, I'm going to go now with the governor. It's Tony Clement. Tony used to play in the centre when I first started going up the club. Played against my cousin, a team from Selly Oak. They were on tour down here. And he murdered my cousin. He absolutely murdered him. Yeah, he still talks about it now. He's 72 now, my cousin, and he still mentions Tony, this mad ginger bloke with a big beard. And like Griff, he just stands for everything Bonymaen Rugby Club is about. He's a beacon, he's a leader, physical guy, you know, great rugby player, great sportsman again, good cricketer, good golfer, and never took a step backwards. And it was always funny playing with Tony, because he's played for so long, he used to have like an arch enemy in every team he played. Was this guy, great player from Pontarddulais called Mike Lloyd, big second row for Pontarddulais. And he was a handy boy himself, you know, he chucked himself about, and him and Tony, I swear they used to have their own game in amongst our game, like, you know. And I remember it must have been a second team fixture, because I was playing number 8, and I just joined the police, right? And I was in training school. This is the early 80s when everybody had hair. I had to have my hair cut off for this training course. So it was like shaved, pretty much as it is now. And I remember going off the back of this scrum, and the next thing, the ruck set up, and I got tackle set this ruck up. Oh, I had this enormous clout now on my head, see? And I was always taught, if somebody stamps on your head, grab their foot and then find out who it is.
You know who it is,
Well, I did that, and it was Clem, see? It was Tony. Had come to, he gave me the biggest set of tramlines on the back of my bald head as I could ever imagine. And, oh, sorry, but I thought it was that boy Lloyd. But I had to go back to work on a Monday, and we had these parades and things like that, and you get inspected on the Monday, and the sergeant, he was on about sending me to hospital because it was still like bleeding and on the back and everything, and it was, but I wouldn't change a thing, and never argued with him, never, ever, but great fun. And when he was coming to the end of his days up there, Stu, I know he went into the coaching side, and but we were playing down in Dugout on this one particular day for the seconds, and we were changing over the old pavilion, cricket pavilion, like a wooden hut it is on the end of the pitch there, see? And famous with us was the screaming and shouting 1 to 10 and all that. Now you probably go out on the field and warm up properly, don't you? But that was pretty much, we'd have the heater on in the car, and then we'd have this 1 to 10 in the changing room. And we were there screaming like this poor cricket pavilion is shaking now with the noise of us stamping our boots and banging the walls and this and that. And Tony Clement shouts at the top of his voice, you know, come on, he said, come on. if I can do it at 28, the rest of you can do it. Well, Tony was more like 38 at the time, like, and it was so kind of all stopped, and all us like 28-year-olds are looking at each other. Thinking,
I'm sure he's older than me. Like.
but
What a
yeah,
guy.
great times, like, absolute great times.
What a guy, mate.
Yes, I am happy, honestly.
No, it's fine.
Of the second row, number 4, I've gone for Ian, William, Herbert, George Brown. Ian Brown, Bill Brown. And the reason I know his full name is because I was in court with him when he had a
You
like
nicked him.
minor motor in the fence. I didn't book him, no. I was this was always hilarious, man. I think he had an extra £1 fine for laughing while he pronounced all his name. But yeah, Bill played a lot of schools rugby with him. Giant of a man, absolute giant, and huge presence on the rugby field.
Yeah.
And because he went on, I like to think the players, we were a feeder club, and he played a couple of seasons with us. Then he went on to Aberafan to play up there, got a distinguished career with Billy James, was a Welsh hooker then, who was chucking a ball in the line out for him, and it really worked well for him. And then he went up to Maesteg, played a few games with Maesteg, good seasons at first class level,
Yeah.
And as luck would have it then, ironically, he'd come back and we drew Maesteg. I don't know what it was. We always seemed to play him in the cup, and we'd have him. We went up a league, they came down, and we would end up playing him throughout the season, And so I was playing alongside him in the lineouts now for Bonymaen, and we'd have a good crack because we are very, very good friends, like great mates. And I said to him before one game, do us a favour now, Ian, look, you're like 6 inches taller than me. You win your ball, I'll win mine. Everyone's a winner.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. We'll do that. And that was what like, I put the line out, I would win his, like, and it was like great times. Another guy who came back to the club to play for us as well. He didn't need to, but he came back, and I remember, ironically, we drew Maesteg again in either a league game or a cup match, and he had a few old scores to settle with some of the players there.
I bet, yeah.
2 minutes, and he was off, which was gutting. I was picked to play number 8, and I love playing number 8, and I had to move up to the second row then. And
fuming.
2 minutes into the game, Mark John was captain, and he asked me, will you move up to the second? Yes, I'd go up, Mark. And we still beat them. We beat, it was a hell of a game, and we beat them. I lasted like about, 70 minutes, and I come off, and a guy had come up from Dunvant called Nick Jones. No one's mentioned him again, but I think he'd come from Dunvant, and he lived on the Gower way somewhere. He was, when somebody doesn't fit in Bonymaen, you know that they stick out. This guy didn't drink.
Oh, there you are.
Most perfect head of hair.
Yeah.
And didn't swear.
Oh, God.
No swearing, no drinking.
Yeah.
Real posh
a nice
guy. Like.
A nice guy, like.
Oh, mate. But he came on for me, and we finished the game off. And I can tell you a story about him again, maybe, because I can't swear on this. Can I live?
That's all right, man. It's all right. So we got for Ian Brown and Tony Clement in the second rows.
In the boiler house there.
So let's go with your tight end now.
Tight end now. This is where my silver dollar comes out now.
Oh, here we go. Yeah. And
I got a couple of options, but I have gone straight in for Monsey. Mark, you're with Llewellyn, Callum's dad, yeah?
Yeah.
A little bit controversial with Mark, because he could start an argument in an empty room. He was like, but a great scrummager, huge presence in the front row. And what I liked about Mark, when he was playing at his prime, he always liked to be heavier than his age. So when he was like 23, so he always wanted that little edge on himself, But great, and a great off-the-field character as well. Great singer, and knew every song, and a good voice, built-in booming voice with him.
Good to be around.
But one story with Mark, we had our match fixture secretary decided to set up a friendly for us, and we thought, oh great, please let it be like Swansea Uplands or like a nice, no, it was Llandovery away, right?
Oh, nice.
And there's no such thing as a friendly, is it, in fairness? So, because we went down there, we weren't exactly fully loaded. A lot of boys had hamstrings and stuff like that on Thursday night. But anyway, we ended up travelling down. We got there late, and we got off the bus. I think it was about 2:20. We got there for a 2:30 kick-off, And I met this guy, because Richard was playing down there when I found out this guy, and my God, the captain of Llandovery, they were all fully changed now in a big kit. He had headband on full of tape. He was sweating blood. I swear to God he was. Right? And I go in and I still got a pair of trousers on and a Bonymaen top. And I go in, what's I with it? But I could struggle to get a side together. Like, 30 odd points had finished up. On our front row on the day was Monsi, who would have been about 23 stone at the time.
Yeah.
Aggie, Yorker, although he wasn't very heavy, he was a big guy. He was only a but, and then Terry Purdy on we were looking at about 60 stone front row, and Llandovery pushed us everywhere. It was ridiculous. It's a tough old place to go. So I know we spoke about it earlier, but
my old stomping ground, Kev.
Sorry, mate.
My old stomping ground, Llandovery. I know it's a tough place to go.
Down there now, yeah. Chasing the big money, wasn't it?
Chasing something, yeah. Yeah, great stuff. So Mark Llewellyn in the 3.
Right then. Probably one of the hardest choices of all the positions, because there's been some great guys up there, and even when I start back in my days with youth with Steve Terry, Cookie, terrific player, absolutely terrific. Give up a bit too early for me. He played a couple of games with the seconds. He played in a game that I broke my leg in, and then kind of got married and drifted away, and and it was such a shame. His brothers played for a bit up there. His older brother played for quite a while, but it's a shame Steve finished a bit far too early in my eyes. And some other youngsters, Aggie, I mentioned Aggie, what a thrower. I used to sympathise with all the hookers up the club, because if it does blow a bit up there, doesn't it?
Now and again,
And if they threw the ball in the line out and it went too far, it would be the hooker's fault. If the jumper missed the ball, it would be the hooker's fault, or if it wasn't straight, the hooker's fault.
Yeah.
So it was one of those. Always had a bit of sympathy for him. But I'll mention a couple of other guys. It was Ian Jones, terrific. The reason I didn't pick Ian probably was because he had bony hips, and he used to play out. Oh man, I can't. I've gone for Monty for his comfort and tight head, and I've gone for Nicky Cunniff. Not because of his his comfort, but he was just technically sound hooker. He was a fantastic player, and
hard as nails.
Oh, absolutely. Lived by the sword, and often died by it as well. I remember we were down in Larne, I think it was, and oh my God, it was a terrible fight down there, and God, I think a spectator kicked him full in the face when Nick was on the floor. It was a terrible time down there. But we did, we used to go down to these places and play some good rugby and frustrate the sides, frustrate them to hell. We were very physical, and Bonymaen always had this reputation of we've got to go up there now, and it used to be worth 10 or 15 pounds.
Yeah, definitely.
So we had that sort of reputation to live up to. But the boys play some really good rugby, and Nick was one of those who, Nick was one of those who was always there or thereabouts on the team sheet. We used to have this thing on a Thursday night after the mad game, and the selection committee would go in the lounge and pick a team, and we'd all hang about up there. We wouldn't drink in case you were in the first Saturday, and we'd stay up there, and staying up there. Do I need to take time off work? And then they put the team sheet up now, and me and Nicky would be on the bench. Playing, and Pat and Billy would be in the squad, and go in, and I said, so we go in, and we had this McEwen's Export up the club at the time. We'd have that, and
have a good session then.
But the good thing with Nicky Cunniff now, I know he missed the last Canada trip, and but I'm so glad that he's going to be on the plane.
100%. What a tourist. Awesome. Lucid.
That's one, mate. I've gone for another guy who played a lot of youth rugby with us. Again, loads of names I could have picked, but I've gone for Andrew Mages, nicknamed the Claw.
Okay.
And terrific player, strong man. You know, we'd all be like 16 of us in the forwards wrestling in the mall for the ball.
Yeah.
And then you feel this unknown force coming through from somewhere.
Yeah.
And the claw would work his hand through and then put his hand on the ball. And that would be it. Oh, it wasn't going
You're
anywhere.
getting off him, like, yeah.
Oh, he's ridiculously strong man. And great scrummager and a great mate. And a quiet man. Didn't used to speak a lot, a bit like Andrew Myers, I guess. But yeah, immensely strong and yeah, fantastic player.
So that concludes your 15. What a team, mate! Particularly like in the back row. I think that's outstanding, our back row, pal, and nice little halfback partnership as well.
Yeah, and I know I haven't picked any of the three brothers, Neil, Mark, and Tony. They were terrific players, absolutely terrific, and easily get in any of the squads and any of the teams. And it's credit to them. Like I worked. When I left the police, I went in the ambulance service and I was worked down in Tumble ambulance station.
Yeah.
So I was picking up patients down there and 25 years since we played, these games.
Yeah.
And people would say to me, "Oh, you're new. Where are you from?" I'd say, "Oh, you play rugby? You got cauliflower ear there?" He said, "Yeah, I played for Bonymaen." Oh, those bloody Sturges boys. and honest to God, I used to say in the end, yeah, they're great players. But it is another 12 on the field as well who would.
Yeah.
But they had such a reputation as a family. It was great for us, thank God. Honestly,
yeah, they were on your side, like yeah.
They were on my team because they were terrific sportsmen. They're not. And one quick story about Mark, like just to finish. Honestly, I hope he won't mind me telling this story. But back in the late 80s, I went on holidays and I bumped into a guy out in France. He was from St Helens. This guy was a bodybuilder, come powerlifter, enormous guy, right? Bob, his name was Bob Protherick. And we kind of hit it off, he loved his rugby league. He was a St Helens fan through and through. He knew everybody, every player. I know this was a time when they were professional and we were amateur and he couldn't have any contact at all. And so I was talking about rugby union. He was telling me all about rugby league, and this guy had so much knowledge, actually.
Yeah.
So they were coming down now from St Helens for a weekend and to stay down in South Wales with us. And I was playing Astragunlice on the Saturday, up in Astragunlice. So we get there for the game, and we'd had a couple of beers the night before. But so Bob was with us now, see, and he was enormous. He was enormous guy. So I kind of briefed him now because Mark, in fairness, he was playing some real good rugby at the time, and he played for Aberafan in midweek. And he said, if you want to do a bit of a wind-up on this guy, just tell him you're a rugby league scout. And then you'd approach him.
Oh, no.
He had all the lines to say because he loved his rugby league. And fair play, I told one or two boys, and thank God I did, right? Because he went on to Mark after the game. He never saw me and Bob together. He went on to Mark and he was giving him all the tosh about... we went to watch somebody else in Aberafan in the week, and it was you who caught our eye and this and that, and looking to give you a contract if you're thinking of coming up and playing rugby.
Oh my God.
And then we jumped back in the car and we went back because we were staying in Cardiff. See?
Yeah.
And he said, "Oh, he's bitten me. He's up line and sinker." I told him I'm going to ring him in the week now. So of course I started to panic and I thinking, go into work the next day, and beat your foreman up. Just as he says, but no one had mobile phones. I couldn't ring him to tell him. But he had told a couple of boys. He told Clem, he told Sammy Morris, and thank God he told Monsey on the bus on the way back. Because Monsey said, "Nah, it's Brooksy's mate, that is, he's wound you up."
Oh my God.
But I tell you what, Mark had shit for me in training on Tuesday.
Yeah.
It was a great wind-up, and he was going to go north to play rugby league.
Oh, got it.
Oh, dear.
Oh, brilliant. Oh, Kev, thanks for doing this, mate. It's I've loved it, man. I know we chatted on the weekend about it, but did you enjoy doing it? Did you enjoy a little chat? Like
I did, Stu. It was tougher than I thought, and it's a big thanks and credit to yourself. You've given up your time to do it. I mean, I spent most of the day doing this as well. Thank God I was off today, and but you've given up all your time to do it. It keeps the boys together. There's a great vibe and a great buzz about it.
Yeah. It's all about it.
Not just the Bonymaen boys. There's some other boys out there as well watching it, and it's a credit to you and for what you And obviously, my compliments to you all for what you're doing up the rugby club as well. We're a young committee up there. Richard and the team are getting everything sorted, and it's looking good. It's a good place to be in it, you know. Fair
Definitely,
play.
mate. Definitely. And yeah, and that's what these things are all about, mate. They're just to get us talking about the club again and bringing people together. That's all I want. And yeah, and just, you know, when all this finishes, it'd be, for me, it'd just be great to see boys, you know, names of these people again mentioned up the club, having a few pints and a chat about these things and talking about the stories, and that's what I want.
You got to remember, like in it, you know, I remember some of the old guys, Tom Rees, some people like that, the old chaps all passed on now. He'd say something to me like, don't forget, Kevin, we're only custodians of the club for a short time. We pass it on, and the legacy
100%.
is generations coming behind us will be. And now
100%.
I'm the same age as Tom, and the one who stands on this touchline moaning at, you know, refereeing decisions and
The
players
coaches.
dropping the ball. Things like
Yeah.
that.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, I really enjoyed it, mate.
No problem. Hey, thanks for everything, Kevin. You know.
And I didn't get a chance to use my
Oh, you didn't swear,
bad
mate. So
language.
well done, yeah.
I was, but
You had it ready.
I had it ready in case.
Hey, thanks for everything, mate, and thanks for all the support that you continue to do. You know, and everything you've given back to the club over all these years, nurtured a lot of talent up there.
Yeah.
And
Quick question, Stu.
Go
Just
on.
ask the older players, how many of them have still got this?
Go on. Oh my God.
Let me see that.
Yeah, I got it. I think I know where that's come from as well, but we'll keep it quiet.
Some of the old remember that, and I just wanted to see how many.
Oh, brilliant, mate. Brilliant. Hey, thanks for everything, but I hope you don't mind. I still use you as an excuse, pal. If I want to have a pint up a club, I tell Natalie, Kev's up there. He's asked me to go up for a pint, and as long as you still let me do that, it's fine.
What we can say now, instead of that, we got to do a bit of net practice. We're going in the nets.
That's right. Anything with you, Kev. She doesn't seem to mind, so I always use your name. And everyone who's liking these videos, just make sure they hit the like, subscribe these videos, and